I'm Adam, and this is a video about our 2019 Ford Ranger. Today's video is going to be a walk around of the outside and inside of the Ranger, and then on Thursday, check out Brenna's video where she'll test drive this Ranger and give you her first impressions. This truck is in Oxford white. As you can see, we've got a cool front end, and then moving along the side here, this truck does feature 18-inch chrome wheels as well. Now that we're back on the tailgate, you will see that we've got the word Ranger stamped into the tailgate. That's pretty cool, and that just gives it some Ford design that carries over from the F-150 as well. This Ranger does only offer one engine currently. It's a 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine, puts out 270 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque. Now, this is leading torque in the class for the Ranger, especially with a small gasoline engine. One of the competitors to this Ranger is the Toyota Tacoma. Just for comparison's sake, the Tacoma offers a 4-cylinder engine as well, although that engine only puts out 159 horsepower. So the 4-cylinder Ranger engine puts out over 100 more horsepower. In addition, that Tacoma 4-cylinder engine puts out 180 foot-pounds of torque, whereas the Ranger 4-cylinder engine puts out 310, as I mentioned. So it just blows the competition away in terms of power for that 4-cylinder engine. For an additional upcharge, you can get a 6-cylinder engine in the Tacoma as well, but that engine's only putting out 278 horsepower. So you're only getting 8 additional horsepower over the 4-cylinder Ranger, and with that Tacoma, you're getting a matching 278 foot-pounds of torque, whereas the Ranger is still putting out 310 foot-pounds from their 4-cylinder. So you can pay the extra money for the Tacoma, but it's still not going to beat the Ranger engine. In terms of overall size, the Ranger is only about an inch taller than the Tacoma, and it's actually almost a foot wider. So this is a big truck, but a lot of that equates to interior space as well. So you do have to take that into account. Now, it wouldn't be right if I didn't talk about the off-roading capabilities of this Ranger as well. People who like to take these trucks off-road are familiar with a few statistics that I do want to cover as well. This is the approach and departure angle. So for the Ranger, the approach angle is 28.7 degrees, and the departure angle is 25.4 degrees. Now, these are right in line with the competition, like the Tacoma that I mentioned, the Nissan Frontier, such like that. The Ranger is right on par with all these other trucks in terms of angle of approach and departure, so this is just as capable as anything else that you might be looking for. Continuing on in terms of capability, I do want to talk about one thing with the Ranger and the Tacoma specifically, is the towing and payload capacity. So this Ranger does have a towing capacity of 7,500 pounds. That is available on every single trim and configuration that the Ranger is offered in. On the other hand, the Tacoma offers a max towing capacity of only 6,400 pounds. So right off the bat, we have 1,100 additional pounds of towing capacity coming from the Ranger. And then in terms of payload, the Ranger lays anywhere between 1,560 to 1,860 pounds. So pretty substantial, almost a ton can go in the bed. In terms of the Tacoma, this payload only ranges from 1,120 pounds to 1,380. So the entire payload capacity of the Tacoma doesn't even get into the range that this Ranger already has covered. The last thing that I do want to talk about between the Ranger and the Tacoma before I move to the inside of the Ranger is the price. So it's been a huge sticking point for customers looking at trucks in this segment because a lot of them feel like the price is too high to justify a truck this size. Well, when you take things like the capability and the technology and all the great fuel economy and the things that you're getting in this Ranger, it really helps justify that. Furthermore, in terms of comparison between the Ranger and the Tacoma, the price is pretty much the same. So for an extended cab with a 6-foot bed in 4-wheel drive, the Ranger, you're going to pay about $28,460. That's the base MSRP that I could find for that configuration. On the other hand, the same configuration for the Tacoma, which is the extended cab and the 4-wheel drive and the smaller engine, that one is going to start out at $28,775 base MSRP. So you're only looking at about a $300 difference in this same size class between the trucks. Even though you're getting all those perks with the Ranger, it still starts off $300 cheaper. All right, now we're gonna move here to the inside of the Ranger. I've already done a walk around video of this truck, so I'm not gonna do a full interior feature review, but I do wanna point out a couple things, and that's gonna coincide with the video that you'll see for Brenna on Thursday. I wanna talk about the terrain management system specifically and some of the off-roading capabilities of the Ranger. As you look around the inside, you'll notice pretty much the same thing that you've gotten used to from Ford. The Ranger does have a few cool quirks and things like that, but it has a lot of similarities as well. It shares the center console here with the Ford Edge, so you get the same style of screen, and then the controls here in the middle console stack. Those are going to be similar to what you see in the Edge. The most important part that I think is moving down here on the floor of the center console. So you'll see this grouping of buttons as well as the knob, and that's what we're going to be really specifically focusing on today for the interior of the Ranger. All right, so here in the center console, the first thing that we're going to touch on is this drive control knob. So this will switch your truck between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, of course. We have 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. And then in the middle, we have this TM button. That button stands for terrain management, and it lets you select between different driving modes for the Ranger. By repeatedly pressing this TM button here in the middle of the rotary dial, we can change between drive modes like normal, gravel, grass, and snow. We have mud and ruts, and then we can also see sand. So each of these driving modes is going to completely change the responsiveness of the Ranger. It's going to change the throttle responsiveness. It's going to change how much torque and braking that you get while you're driving. It's going to increase the traction control. It's going to really up a lot of systems to make sure that you get the absolute best traction and best control on those surfaces. This is important for anyone who's doing off-roading in the Ranger. If you have your truck in, say, normal mode and you happen to be driving on sand, you could very easily lose a lot of traction or get your truck stuck in a situation that it wouldn't normally have any trouble in should you have it in sand mode. That's why they do include these capabilities, because they really can help in a time of need. All right, that's pretty much it for the rotary dial here. The next thing that I want to point out is this little grouping of buttons above the rotary dial. So starting in the top left corner here, we have our trail control. In the middle, we have our auto start stop switch. On the right in the top, we have our electronic locking rear differential. The bottom right corner, we have our traction control off button. The middle here, we can turn our rear parking sensors off if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our trailer mode. The button that I'm going to pretty much focus on the most is this top left button. This is the trail control button. So what this is a low speed cruise control for when you're off-roading. The trail control system works just the same as cruise control, but it covers the void that cruise control doesn't work in. So from 1 to 20 miles an hour is when you can turn your trail control on. Of course, your cruise wouldn't work below 20. This works just like your cruise, as I mentioned. It's for off-roading when you need a constant, steady rate of speed for your best performance. So say you're driving on sand, or you're climbing steep hills or mud or something like that, you can set your trail control between 1 and 20 in 1 mile an hour increments using your cruise control buttons on the steering wheel here. To engage your trail control, all you have to do is press the trail control button while you're stopped. You'll see this indicator that'll let you know it started. And then you just use your control buttons for your cruise control on the wheel to adjust your speed. While you're using trail control, all you have to do is steer the truck. The Ranger will take care of the acceleration, the torque, and the braking at all 4 wheels automatically for you to make sure that it maintains whatever speed you set. If you feel like you need to stop, you're welcome to press your foot on the brake. It will not disengage trail control, but it will let you stop. Once you let your foot off the brake, it will take you back up to whatever speed you previously had set. In addition, if you set it at 5 miles an hour and you figure that that's too slow for your trail, you can just put your foot on the gas and it will override trail control and take you as fast as you want to go. Once you let your foot off the gas, it will slow you back down to whatever speed you had set, and that trail control will pick up right where you left off. Moving over to this button in the top right corner, this is your electronic locking rear differential. So this is the button that will automatically engage both of your rear tires to spin at the exact same speed. This is highly valuable when you're in deep mud or snow and you need controlled, balanced power on both sides of the vehicle to keep you moving forward. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys learned a couple new things about the capabilities of this Ranger, and you feel a little bit better about how this truck stacks up to the competition. If you do have any more questions, or you want to see this Ranger or any of the cool features that I talked about today in person, you can stop by and visit us here at Jack Schmitt Ford in Collinsville. That's 1820 Vandalia Street, or stop and visit us online at jackschmittford.com. And don't forget to watch Brenna's video on Thursday when she'll drive the truck and give you her driving impressions.